Because we have to know that we
It's 5:30. We're going to get this meeting started. All 5 members of the Personnel Committee are present. We are going to look at wage, salary grade proposals by departments. I see a lot of departments. I finally met Gina 3 minutes ago. Did everybody get everything to you?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't get grades from some and everything as far as what a hiring wage should be and what that top out should be. But everybody said to go with the example that you guys had sent out. So that's what I did for the hiring wage. I did put a top out with all of the judges and then anybody that did give me that information. If you want me to go back in and just do it the same way with all the other ones, I can. I just didn't know exactly.
Do you have anything to help?
I do.
For us? Do us.
Mhm. Mhm. Everything that's in the bold is what is proposed, and that also has the top out. I did not do elected officials, and I did not do part-time employees either, because nothing was said about those. So that I can go back and fix those within a short amount of time. Before you ask as well, I'll go ahead and throw this out there. As far as when I was figuring those ranges on from hiring wage to a top out, I went with national average is usually 30 to 40% on ranges and everything. So I went with the lowest one. I went with 30%. Of course, I could change that too if anybody wants me to.
The last page, the total yearly, that's the total right now, right?
Correct.
Do you have anything?
I
for
didn't
there?
do that because it didn't have all the part-times and the elected officials. I can go in and have that in there and everything and do that, but it wasn't gonna give you real numbers since we didn't change anything.
And this
right
has,
there. That has
real numbers.
everything, yes.
can you ballpark that? Okay.
I can go downstairs and I can get it clear real quick.
Do you think that would be helpful?
I think that would be.
I mean, that kind of tells us, you know, if we can do everything right away or down the road shortly.
I was running on, I didn't know what all
I
that.
know, I meant to contact you, but life has happened.
Oh, I hear you.
The number we're looking, it's gonna run is basically everything, I guess, except she'd be able to do the elected officials too then. But basically, how much more it is over the 4.5 million. How much more it's gonna cost the county.
Do any of the elected officials have anything, comments, input?
The only comment I would have is I didn't know if y'all wanted new hire scales also. I only did just for my one.
Carla, do you have anything? Do you have anything to add, Carla? No. Sure.
I can't hear a word y'all are saying.
Do you have anything you want to add? Usually you're sitting in front of you.
Well, they stole my chair this morning.
Oh. Do you have anything you want to add?
I didn't know how y'all were planning on going over each department tonight. I didn't know if you were gonna go with the clerks and the assessors or how you were doing.
Yeah, I mean, kind of wanted to look at everybody's and then see how much the increase was gonna be to do everybody's if we did that.
Alright.
And then is that feasible? Can we possibly do that? Or do we need to go do it by departments and gradually add them all in over a period of time? That's what payroll is currently right now, she's saying. This would be, what the number she's gonna give us is the pay proposal, not the top up. It's not gonna be a top up. So we'll find out how much more over the 4.5 million.
What number did she say she based that on?
That 30%.
Okay, that's what I thought, and I thought, did I write that down?
Thoughts?
Susan, what's the county general right now?
That's a good question. And you know what? I don't think I brought anything related to budget here. I just brought all my personnel stuff.
Wasn't it roughly 3.2?
Yeah, roughly.
This is last month's.
Do you have the end of
Three,
the
and balance for county general is 3.2 and 224. I don't know. This is all. For 1 month old.
And I do have another minor comment on mine.
Yes, ma'am.
The proposed should say chief deputy treasurer. That was redone I want to say in 2023, but it never went in as chief deputy treasurer. It was always just deputy treasurer.
Okay.
I guess none of yous have this, right? See, okay.
Please.
No, let's have that paper that they have. No.
Was it what Gina had emailed out to the to you guys?
She just gave us
Please,
this.
David, we haven't seen it.
It's in our email. It's in your email. It's in your. jpdistrict.gov, you know.
When did she email that?
Hold on, she get the shakes.
I didn't think this email address was working until today.
She probably didn't know.
I'm like 90% sure it's in my email.
Yeah, and Gina probably didn't know. That's the,
16, yes.
yeah,
Yeah, I did have lunch then.
yeah.
She got me good. Think of that some today,
I say, I don't think there's any doubt that wages should go up. You know, it's just a matter of when she comes up with this final number, you know what I mean?
If it's feasible.
Correct.
I don't have anything else to do.
The Debbie's at HR at Marion County.
I don't know if that is that. Taking its time.
Huh?
So hold on, this thing's taking its time.
Oh, we're signing the sheets March 4th. That was going to be email.
Well, did you get your sign-in sheet to this meeting? Okay, good.
You want me to forward it to you?
No, it's fine. I got it now in front of me. I don't need to do it. Thank you then.
Just like the materials of items.
Thank you.
Actually, I think you'd be doing cartwheels with your new email.
I was under the impression that nothing was going to get sent to it till after the
Oh.
training today.
Oh, no, they were sending some stuff for those that did that early.
I did try and play with it a little bit when we first got it, but then it's just been sitting there. Do you want us to go through this since y'all don't have this in front of you? We can talk about this. County admin assistant, current rate is 1854, for pay proposal is 2205. Comptroller 1803, pay proposal 2250. Payroll HR current is 16, pay proposal 20. Deputy clerk 1597 is the current, pay proposal is 18. Chief Deputy Treasurer, current is 1725, pay proposal 2025. Chief Deputy Assessor, 17, pay proposal 2250. Deputy Assessor, 1545, pay proposal 1775. Another Deputy Assessor, 1597, increase to 1850. Courthouse Annex Maintenance, current is 1725, proposed is 18. District Court Clerk, current is 1803, proposed is 2153. District Court Clerk Secretary, current is 15, proposed is 1650. Deputy Prosecuting Attorney Paralegal, current is 1572, proposed is 1775. OEM Coordinator, current is 1751, proposed is 2051. Law Enforcement Executive Administrative Assistant, current is 1751, proposed is 1950. Chief Deputy, current is 1957, proposed is 27. Deputy 1, current is 1906, proposed is 31. Deputy 2, current is 1854, proposed is 21. Deputy 3, 1803, proposed is 21. Deputy 4, 1854, proposed is 31. Deputy 5, 1854, proposed 2450. Deputy 6, 1803, proposed 2350. I don't have a current for Deputy 7, proposed is 20. Deputy 8, current is 1751, proposed is 21. Deputy 9, 17 is current, proposed is 20. Deputy 10, 17, proposed is 20. Deputy 11, 1648, proposed is 20. Deputy 12, 1751, proposed is 20. Deputy 13 through 16, I don't have a current one, so I don't know if we have those positions filled. Then no, okay, so proposed is 21 dollars. County judge, admin assistant, proposed is 18, or I'm sorry, current is 1854, proposed is 2204. Admin assistant, 1545, proposed is 16. Licensed master, 1906, proposed is 2175. Lead licensed operator, 1494, proposed is 1650. Licensed operator 13, proposed is 16. Licensed operator 2, 1391, proposed is 1650. Licensed operator 3, 1339, proposed is 1650. I'm not sure what all these, okay, this is the new road department, sorry. Road foreman 2060, proposed is 2360. Equipment operator 1, 1647. Proposed is 1650. Second equipment operator 1, 1545. Proposed is 1625. Third equipment operator 1, 15. Proposed is 1625. Fourth, equipment operator 1, 15, proposed is 16. Fifth, equipment operator 1, 1597, proposed is 16. Sixth, equipment operator 1, 1550, proposed is 1625. Seventh, equipment operator 1, 1597, proposed is 1625. Eighth, equipment operator 1, 1550, proposed 16. A lot of equipment operators. Equipment operator 2, 1787, proposed is staying the same, 1787. Second, equipment operator 2, current is 15, proposed is 16. Third, equipment operator 2, 1787, proposed is staying the same. Fourth, equipment operator 1736, the proposed is the same. Fifth, equipment operator 2, 1648, proposed is 1675. Sixth, equipment operator 2, 1787, proposed is the same. Seventh, equipment operator 2, 1736, proposed the same. Eighth, equipment operator 2, 1622, proposed 1650. Ninth, equipment operator 2, 1736, proposed the same. First, equipment operator 3, 1942, proposed is 2075. Second, equipment operator 3, 1942, proposed is 2050. Third, equipment operator 3, 1942, proposed is 2075. Fourth, equipment operator 3, 1942, proposed is 2075. Fifth, equipment operator 3, 1839, proposed is 2075. Sixth, equipment operator 3, 1839, proposed 1889. Seventh, equipment operator 3, 1942, proposed 2075. Admin assistant road, 1494, proposed 18. Mechanical supervisor, 1983, proposed 2383. Quarry equipment operator, 1545, proposed is 1625. Second quarry equipment operator, 1994, proposed is 2075. Quarry foreman, 1942, proposed is 2342. Quarry foreman assistant, 1751, proposed is 1801. Deputy OEM, 1545, proposed is 1650. Deputy collector, 1468, proposed is 1650. Chief deputy collector, 17, proposed is the same.
No. That's supposed to be, right?
Thank you.
Could you repeat that, please?
Chief deputy collector. It's 3001.0104. It's listed as 17 and proposed, just says 17, should say, should be 20.
Sorry, Gina, I thought I corrected that.
It's okay.
Chief Deputy Collector? It's proposed as one.
Yeah. No, this is the old one. It's 17 on the new one.
Deputy collector, 1468, increase would be to 1625. Deputy clerk, 1571, proposed is 17. Library assistant full-time, 14 current, proposed is 16. Library assistant, 1468, proposed is 1675. Library assistant, 1468, proposed to 18. Library assistant, 14 current, proposed to 1625. Jail lieutenant, 1751 current, proposed to 2250. Detention officer, 1442, proposed to 17. Detention officer 2, I don't have a current pay, 17 is the proposed. Detention officer 3, 1597, proposed is 18. Detention officer 4, 1597, proposed is 18. Detention officer 5, 1650, proposed is 17. Detention officer 6, 1597, proposed to 18. Detention officer 7, I don't have a current, proposed to 17. Detention officer 8, 1545, proposed to 19. Detention officer 9 and 10, I don't have a current, 17 is the proposed. Detention officer 11, 1442, proposed to 17. Detention officer 12, 1545, proposed to 1850. Detention officer 13, 1442, proposed to 16. Detention officer 14, 1650, proposed to 17. Detention officer 15, 1442, proposed to 17. We're almost done focusing again. Detention officer 16 and 17, I don't have a current, proposed to 17. Jail part-time 1442, proposed to 17. Jail part-time 2, 17, proposed to 18. Transport officer 1650, proposed to 2050. Bail warrant officer 1750, proposed 21. Admin assistant 1545, proposed to 1875. E91 dispatch 1648, proposed to 1675. Another dispatcher, 1650, proposed to 19. Another dispatcher, 1648, proposed to 1850. Another dispatcher, I don't have a current, proposed is 18. E911 dispatcher, 1445, proposed to 1625. Dispatcher, 1545, proposed to 1725. Dispatcher, 1494, proposed to 1625. Dispatcher 17, proposed stays the same. Victim witness coordinator, 1825 current, 2410 proposed. Metro 17, proposed 20, Metro Officer 18, proposed 21. That's it.
So this, with that number you came up with is $66,000. Is that right?
I let Excel do the addition.
I thought that like last year, the 3% raise cost the county like $100,000. That's what some of the budget committee told me last year.
Well, some of this though hasn't changed at all.
The elected officials.
Elected officials, part-time did not change at all. Corpse engineer didn't change at all. Several of them haven't changed.
But there's no new positions that aren't included in this, correct?
Correct.
And I can tell you on the elected officials, last year it was about 82,000 across the board. And the revised one was right at 100.
For the elected,
Just to throw something out there. I haven't really got anything out of budget. Russo had said to treat it as a budget.
the numbers for the different departments, what's everybody's input?
I can say that I can tell that there are some that were done incorrectly, and they're very inflamed, because they're now over deputies and so on. And I know Karen's department, I could tell listening that those were accurate. But some of them, it seems like they added numbers to current pay instead of looking at maybe how long they've been there and doing the actual. Because some people are like $22 and $23 in the clerical, that were at 14 or 15.
Yeah, because I would buy the pay scale that you furnished, and here's here, and it's $20. It's $20, and some are coming up with $22, $23.
How about that, Diane?
So speaking on, how some got inflated, it's because that executive position, where they get a $3 increase for that executive position, whereas, someone below is just clerical, and they don't get that $3 additional right off the bat. So that's why some look inflamed and others don't.
So you're telling me that the amount of time that they've been there was taken into consideration, that falls on a scale like that?
Yes.
Honestly, I'm Judge Carney, and I might have an opportunity to address just the district court.
Yes, ma'am.
That would be my only concern. I have 2 employees, or the county has 2 positions in that office. One of the comments that I just wanted to make is when you were reading that out, you mentioned that there's a chief court clerk, and then there is I think you said something about a secretary, and that is probably a matter of semantics, but there's really not a secretary in that office. The other lady in the office should be more accurately classified as a deputy court clerk.
Okay.
I think I know I helped Tina with the job descriptions, and certainly if you read her job description and the skills that are required with that, it's a little more extensive than an office secretary. So from
Is
that,
that under district?
yes, ma'am, it's under district court. There should be 2.
District.
So,
Clerk secretary? That's
yeah.
what you're referring to?
Yeah.
Correct,
The
and
job
that really
description.
should be deputy court clerk, and then there should be a chief court clerk. And then, like I said, that's probably just a matter of semantics a little bit, but then, I don't know that I don't have the numbers that you all are looking at, but, so I guess I just have questions, because it seems like you're looking at you're reading out one figure as the current. So is it my understanding that that is what the
Current rate is.
current rate is for the people who are in the position right now?
Right.
And then you have a proposed rate, which would be for those employees based upon their years of service.
Right.
Okay, then that seems a little odd to me because and again, maybe I don't understand it because I'm kind of a visual learner and I don't have what's looking at it, but I thought these numbers that you were reading was supposed to be, an across the board 3% raise for the, current positions and you were proposing a 3% raise and a lot of those numbers were obviously not 3%. And so if that's the case, then my ladies are not, I mean, Tina didn't get a 3% raise the last time. And so she's been here 8 years from the figure that you're looking at. It doesn't seem exactly right to me, but so what I had proposed is that if a new person came into that chief deputy clerk, or I'm sorry, chief court clerk position, that the starting salary or the starting pay would be $20 an hour. And then does the county not have some scale already in place based upon years of service?
That's what we're trying to
That's
do.
what we're trying to.
Yeah, 'cause I mean, you guys put yourself through, or maybe not all of you, but every year you shouldn't have to go through this heartache. It seems to me there would be a chart that says this job description
That's what we're
with
trying
this
to
number of years of service, and you come across and you say, boom, that's how much this person made.
So that starting person would be $16 plus a $3 bump for the chief position. That's a starter. Should be 19.
So 19 is what you're proposing the chief court clerk would make without any years of experience.
In Marion County, correct.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Marion County. And so how often does Marion County do like reviews, or are they eligible for a bump up? Is that based just on years of service? Time.
Do you have this? Nope. So this is what they're saying. Start out at $16 an hour. If it's a chief or an administration.
We're looking for each department.
Yeah.
Did you get
There's
something
up to
to
1975.
breakdown?
Up to whatever you start, this is just.
But was your
But I-
office based off
See,
that?
you guys.
Was your office based off that?
Did not make it
Was your-
everything to bring
Yes,
here.
that's what I did.
What did you say?
I don't remember what day it was, before I went home for a funeral.
Last Wednesday.
And I sent it to the JP, whatever your email. I sent it to the emails for JP District 1.
March the 12th. March the 12th.
Yeah, she said she got some of that. She got some of it, some apartments, but not every part.
So now I've got this.
Okay.
All right, and so is this the proposed pay rate for all county employees, no matter what department they're in, or no matter?
Sorry, I think these are the department. And then, that's what they're asking for.
The bottom numbers aren't the same from the one you just gave me, so that changed the The one you gave us originally was 25.36. It was
The VSO.
25.56.
Yeah, because the VSO was not in there.
Okay.
And we had it.
The 752.64 is what it shows.
All these places.
Second one. It's 19,000, yeah, it's just 8,000.
That's annual.
And he's quite high.
No, 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 he's a part-time.
The BSO officer, like, how much with the 19,570, and it says 752.64. So we're looking at more than doubling our pay by these numbers. Did you have any more questions?
Maybe,
Okay.
now that I have more information. So if I just randomly pick something in here, like a deputy assessor, for example. We've got an 1850
Proposed, yes.
on the proposed. And so are we saying then that that deputy has 10 years' experience? Is that what we're saying?
So which one is it?
I have no idea. I have to ask whoever in charge of that
Right
department.
here, deputy assessor, and so it says 1850 as the proposed. And so then if I find 1850 on here, it says 10 years.
So she would start.
At
I just checked,
1775.
and if I, that BSO number is correct.
You also have to take into consideration, because it said on there, if they had been there for 5 years, they get an additional 50
Right, so I think on this, that makes it 1775, but here it's 1850. So I guess that's what I don't understand.
Well, I would have to know exactly who that is and how long they had been here to know, because if they would have been here for 10 years, then they got an additional dollar.
Right.
So if it had been somebody that's over 10 years, there would have been an additional.
So all these positions are.
Are based off of that person that's in that position.
So she was 1775, plus her 50 cents for being here over 5 years. So that's what her base was, 18.
This is 1850. I
Well,
don't, it's just doesn't seem consistent, I guess. I don't have a necessarily, I don't have a complaint about it, or other than it just doesn't make sense. It's just not consistent throughout. The math doesn't add, when you start looking at if you plug a real person into here, which you have to do because you're not starting with all new hires. I mean, you're starting with the personnel that you have. And so if you plug that personnel into your new charts and their years of service, it doesn't come out to the numbers on here.
That's what Ms. Gina was just saying, that these numbers are based on employees that are in those current positions, their years of experience, their qualifications, all of that comes into play with what these numbers state.
Except they're wrong.
Some of these people were making more than what it says in a year, so then you have that. So then you would take, say the person had been here for 8 years, and they were already making $2 more an hour than what this example gave. For what this example was, but they were an executive position, so I went ahead and added the $3 to it because that was an executive position.
That's exactly what mine was. Mine's like, what, 1854 now?
Right, and it's
And
over
it
what
drops.
this is. Right, so, and you
So
don't.
I've been here 10 years next month.
Right, and you don't wanna lower somebody's pay to make it match this.
Here, you can get the $3.
Yeah, yeah. And then
So
the
you won't
50 cents for the 5 years and 50 cents for something.
And then I guess my other question is, this is what you're using, right?
That's what every department is supposed to get.
is what this is based on, right?
Correct.
And
Except for a couple of departments. I mean, because a couple of departments gave me what they wanted to have done. The police department gave me a complete diagram of what they wanted each position to pay and everything. And then Tina had brought over, job descriptions with those rates of pay for the positions in her department, so I used those and everything. So some of them are not off of the example that you gave if they gave me other numbers, correct?
We are the. I mean, I can tell you what it's based on.
Right.
So I guess one question I have is how come somebody in the treasurer's office who's got 15 years of experience makes 1975 maxed out, and on the road department, 15 years makes 26?
Because of their,
What do we call
They're, they have the equipment, they're out the
Heavy
way, they're dangerous,
whatever you call it.
So not all, I think what you're trying to say is not all clerical jobs, even though based on that, are equal to that. They're not weighted the same. Like my job isn't like Tanya's job. Her chief clerk might do something totally different than I do. My job,
I think they're doing, our job is the same as a clerical compared to working out on big machinery.
well,
Or
right,
taking a bullet.
right, but what
Yeah.
Judge Carney is saying is that my job based on your chief clerk's job is totally different.
No, they're all,
No.
they're all in the same.
Job details are different.
Yeah, they're all in the same category.
You do different clerical work. I'm just saying, I would rather sit in my office and make $17 an hour than go out and take a bullet and make $20 an hour. You know what I mean? It's a
No, and
hazard.
I understand that
Hazard.
part.
It's a hazard. I mean, that's the way I take it. I'm not sure. I probably should.
Well, I will say this, I will say that the district court clerk's office, just last year, collected $345,000 that those two ladies have to process. And they have to meet with the public. District court has more contact with the public than any other of the courts. They have to talk to attorneys' offices, they have to talk to attorneys, they have to physically relocate to the jail, deal with inmates, get paperwork signed. They, they have the audit
Every office has
in
to
the
talk to
month.
everybody.
I mean,
We talk to every single person.
I'm saying that the pay is not good enough.
I guess the bottom line is I'm not happy with the starting point.
So
And
the department head should have been the one that.
And well, that's another thing, we're not sure who the department head is. So I don't really work for the county, I'm paid by the state, but yet, I feel like I work for the county, I'm in that weird position. And so I think Tina also doesn't feel like she's the department head, but I tell her all the time, oh, Tina, don't you help you? So I think she needs to be designated as the department head, or I need to be included in the emails, one or the other. Who is the department head of the district court office?
You hire and fire.
Yeah, so it's kind of an odd position in that way, but yeah.
Fancy in the collector's office, it's heavy traffic, just like it is in the assessor's office. It's not unheard of to get over 100 phone calls a day, people constantly walking in, millions of dollars going through our hands every year. Most people are nice, but there's always that 5%, no matter what you do, and we're constantly dealing with people and doing our best to keep the ones that, no one can calm down at all. And we've had, Sherry, where she said she had somebody a couple times last year walk around on her side of the counter. And, but we're a very high traffic office, as the assessor's office is. There's hardly,
That's where we're all classified in the same.
yeah, hundreds of people at any given time will go through our offices.
Any other comments?
I know curiosity killed the cat, but with the proposed raises that have been proposed, how much did it jack the personal services up over what it was this year?
It's currently 4.5 million.
64,000.
What are you doing?
Right, that's what I raised it.
This finished with 294.
That's who did it, it's the VSO office.
$56,254.54,
For all funds?
according to this.
If you take the second sheet, the second set of sheets that Gina gave us, and you take what is current and what is proposed, it's a difference of 56 to 54.
Yes, Shane.
But also take into consideration that that is not including elected officials, election commission, poll worker, part-time people, that is just, hourly, full-time employees. So it will jack it up a little bit more if you add in part-time, like all those above mentioned people. So it will potentially be a little bit more than that.
I guess my question for the department heads, do you think these are proposed numbers are suitable?
John Carney says no.
Partly no.
Sonny,
Question, just listening to everybody talk, I'm just trying to get a clear baseline on how this is going. And from a comment that was made, by someone in the audience, if we're basing a pay increase off of someone talking ugly to someone, then we might need to take a look at, refocus at the people that are actually protecting our lives. Not saying that anybody in this room is no more important than anybody else, but they have the most demanding job in the county. And that's just an observation, in my opinion. You can take it for what it's worth.
Oh, and just to be clear, my office, with instruction from me, we will not tolerate someone talking ugly to us. I have asked people to leave my office talking to me ugly, talking to my deputies ugly. That is totally unacceptable. I will hang up on them in a heartbeat. And if they call back, I will say, if you're gonna talk nice, I will talk to you. If not, I will hang up on them again. That is not acceptable.
There's three different classes.
I haven't seen.
Right, so it says clerical departments on the first page, road department, court and transfer on the second page, and sheriff's office on the last page. They have different.
yes.
Yeah, but the jailers are still below a lot of those numbers we just threw out, and they're cleaning poop off.
Amen,
Yeah,
amen.
yeah, I do.
I am 100% for that because I have to deal with the jail. And that has to be, besides a deputy, one of the hardest jobs. And a deputy can bring in somebody matters not. And the jailer has to deal with it. And I've witnessed that myself when I was in there visiting with an inmate.
And for myself, I invite you to come spend a day in our office, 8 to 4:30. I invite you. Oh, no, this is leaving.
That's what we do, y'all.
I'm not including them because there's no way in heck I am going to do that.
That's what she took one.
I did. Oh, I wouldn't even want to hear what they're said. I know what's said to me, but, and to you guys.
I bet these are some that I couldn't even think of in my head.
Well, maybe I could, I'm
I like Mr. Dorsey's comment that, you know, it's nothing against one way or another, anybody in this room. But, you know, it's a matter of, I know if somebody talks to you in the office wrong or whatever, but the people in the back of the room there, they might not even come home tonight.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it's way overdue for, and I was able to go through a tour of the jail. And when I got on to be a JP, I only thought of the street people. Didn't even give it a thought about what they have to deal with at the jail. And it is very eye-opening to think that, what is a jailer right now starting out at?
14.
And he's
They get
telling
jail
somebody in there
time
that's a
for
murderer, giving them, you know, whatever, way overdue. And everybody's overdue. I mean, just stress, but
I don't care if it's a murder or if it was just somebody who stole something. They both have attitudes and they
Oh, yeah.
gonna put
Yeah.
up with stuff from everybody.
I don't know if this is a question for Cheyenne or Susan, dealing with the money aspect, is this doable, honestly?
And that would be,
I
that
have
would
to
be
run the
Susan.
numbers. I mean, this is the first I've really seen it. Yeah.
I do know that, we already, and nothing against the sheriff's department at all, but I do know we already have to tap into county general to fund them. It's a countywide issue, but there's specific funds, we have to use county general money to already sustain it. So adding pay, which is, yes, well deserved, it's going to put even more of a burden on county general than we already have. I mean, we are a class 2 county, we're trying our best, but where's the give and take?
Can I speak to that?
Yes, ma'am.
Last year, we left hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table in personal services because we can't hire people. We don't have any applications right now. We're at half staff in the jail. It takes months, 6 weeks to 2 months or something at least to hire someone in the jail, so we can't put someone in next week. And we're at half staff right now. So, and we're short on deputies, we're short on dispatch, and we're not, I mean, I do know, we do, all our money, we don't have revenue in the sheriff's office. We just go out there and fight crime, and we expect the county to help us do it. And truth is, we can leave money on the table, we can do that, but we're not filling those spots. So we have to make a choice here. There's gonna come a time, we're not gonna be able to do what we do.
And we had another deputy turn his letter of resignation in today. He's going to Baxter County
Where they get paid more.
where they're gonna start him at $23 an hour.
So,
And
one thing that you really need to consider too, because with that, if they don't have the staff, you're paying the overtime. So you might as well, and you're paying more tax on that overtime and everything too, so you're gonna have all of that.
In the amount of overtime that we went over this past
Correct.
this year. And I mean, we really managed that overtime to keep it beat down. But, you know, and then again, we're required by the Arkansas Constitution to do one thing primarily at the sheriff's office, and that's run that jail. It doesn't say patrol the streets or any of that other. The one thing it specifically addresses is running the jail.
Also, at the
If you
sheriff's
raise
office,
those rates of pay for them, you're gonna be able to hire people, so you're not gonna be paying as much overtime, and you're not gonna be paying as much tax on that and everything as well. So it's really, you really need to be able to consider that too.
I have a question, like with these proposed numbers, do you think we have a better chance of hiring a
absolutely.
deputy or whoever we need at the jail?
We've had people tell us that I can't take that position for $14. We've had people tell us that in the last 60 to 90 days. And when you're the HR person, and I'm talking to them, we're interviewing them, we're having them come in from other areas, you know, they just can't do it. They can't maintain their obligations, take care of their obligations financially on that pay.
What we did do this past week, I believe, we increased people that have been there a year or so and put them at least 15 an hour so that we can start hiring at 15. But our max pay is $16.50. So we have longer term employees that are gonna suffer because other people are starting higher now. So, I would say in the whole sheriff's office, there's 2 clerical positions.
Yeah.
In the jail and the sheriff's office, there's two of us, and some of y'all have 3 and 4. Like, we're trying to do a lot with very few people.
Mr. Mark or Jackie or Sheriff, can you speak to this step grant again and remind me how it works? 'Cause the first year it was like $7,500
It was
and now it's
October,
40.
November, December. This is for a whole
Okay.
year.
There's several, what they call iterations throughout the year. They're usually around holiday periods. And when we work that overtime, we're reimbursed that same way by the state of Arkansas through federal step grants called Selective Traffic Enforcement Program. And we go out different times of the year, and if we're successful, I believe the first year, maybe this first or second year, so you can go full time with it. But we get X number of iterations during the year. If we do well on that, on our bookkeeping, our payment on it, we'll be able to do it where the deputies can work that year round and get overtime. And that is reimbursed if their overtime run by the
And
state.
how often do we get the reimbursement?
It's after each mobilization. It's supposed to take a few weeks, but I think they've been behind, but they've reimbursed us up to, I think, 2 mobilizations so far. That they've reimbursed us, and we're on our 4th.
And I have a question, because if you're getting reimbursed for that, then why do we have that in there just as a charge?
That step shouldn't even have been figured. I didn't turn it into step.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't on there.
I'd say it's on
17,000, right?
Yeah, no, it's in the, it's in numbers and comp, and that's what this sheet's based off of. But originally, she didn't budget any, like, proposal for the step grant, because it is reimbursable, but it is technically it's in our position, our employees go in it, it's part of personal services, so that's why it's in numbers and comp. And like this spreadsheet is based off of numbers and comp, but I don't believe she proposed anything for it, no.
But it's figured in the total.
It is.
For the first half, should have been.
I think it would be.
40,000.
It's in both.
Yeah.
It's in both spots.
So really, if you take that 40,000 out, you're only looking at 16,000.
How hard would it be to do this for our elected officials too?
Give them an increase?
Something, yeah.
Oh. Give me numbers.
Tell me which one to increase it to. 50%.
I've got one more question, and it's just a curiosity question. So if this passes as proposed, when we come into the I'm gonna call it the appraisal time, are we gonna look at a sliding scale from 1 to 6% based upon the position and job performance? Or is it gonna be a flat 3% rate? Or how are we gonna monitor that? The reason I ask is if I'm somebody sitting in an office and I get a $4 hour raise, a year raise, next year I'm gonna think, I'm gonna be going, all right, man, I wanna get another good raise this year. And I foresee with this is we're gonna run into an issue of we're gonna have a constant imbalance with somebody always coming back and saying, it needs to be here, it needs to be here, it needs to be here. I understand and appreciate what Judge Carney pointed out to me, but I think we need to look at it just a little bit farther, a little deeper, try to encompass some of that more to get our hands wrapped around it so we don't end up in here every year going through the same exercise. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yes, I agree. Mr. Mullins.
Just for a point of reference, Greg and I both came from a place that we had steps and a certain pay grades and things like that. We're all about that, but I think everybody probably in this room would agree. That doesn't exist in county government, very few places across the state. That's what we're trying to put in. As far as the 3% or 6%, we're trying to implement our places is get these numbers from being arbitrary, where they're not going to say, well, we need to bump them 50 cents or 75 cents. No, we're trying to make it based on years. Another county in central Arkansas faced this about 2 years ago. And when we looked at their scale, they topped out at 12 years because that's the longest serving employee they had at that time. And what we're trying to do is have something in place that makes sense. Just like giving the 3% or the 6%. And what's wrong with the merit raise? I'm all about, and that's what I got for years. You know, my raise that I got was based on me not showing up for work, but doing it at a high level. And we kind of simplified it where we're at, and what we're trying to implement is we're going to say, here's the standard. That's what you've got to do to come into work every day and say you're doing your job right. And there's only two other ratings. You're not making the grade or making the standard, which is simply below the standard, or you're exceeding the standard. At this rate right here, if you're getting the job done, it's a 3% or 4% or whatever the budget is appropriated for the county court. And if you're below the standard, you're gonna get a nasty grant and a letter pointing out what you're not doing right and what you gotta do to get up to that point. If you're not, we're not gonna keep you around and keep paying you. But if you exceed that standard, we're gonna give you more than what you get for just showing up at work and getting it done. And that's something we ought to have implemented at this level, and I think everybody'd like to see that, but we've got to have a starting point.
Just fine.
I was actually doing that today at work, trying to come up with a yearly evaluation for my office. On there, it was a quarter, I think, every year there was a quarter, filling out a merit thingy, 1 through 4, however many you score, you get 10 cents, I don't know, whatever, I was actually trying to do that today. To
That's
come
what
up
we
with some
were
kind of
wanting
merit
from.
system, so the people who don't go above and beyond don't get the same pay raise every year that the person who barely answers the phone.
Well, you could look at the pay grade as your max pay at that point. If that person's not performing, they don't have to go to 16.25.
Well,
They stay at 16 and say, dude, if you wanna do better, we'll get you to 16.25.
That's true, yeah. I mean, that's true. Not that I would not want to give my people the raise, but I did that before. I did not give them the raise that, I don't know what it was. I think they gave us all a $3 an hour raise. I went to court and got everyone in my office a $3 an hour raise. I didn't give it to them because I was on the merit system in my office. Court took it from me, every penny. And then my girls didn't get any raise.
Oh, so
They lost all their raise. And so I'm hesitant on that because I'm afraid, not y'all, but I'm afraid court will take it again from me and not let me have it to give to them. I have a girl who's been there over 5 years and she never got her 90-day raise that I implement in my office. I don't just start you out at what you're gonna make. I start you out this, after 90 days, you get evaluated, whatever, and then I'll bump you up to whatever my numbers were. But she didn't even get that because court took every penny.
But this puts you on the same playing field as the office across from you.
This does.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. You would maintain a pay grade. You would maintain the system,
But-
not each
But
individual.
I would still
employee.
want to do like you said, a merit raise. I don't think every single person in every office deserves the entire raise.
I don't think you have to choose one of those, don't you?
No, you really can, I mean, on the budgeting process, if we agree to do a merit-based promotions or a merit-based raise, that's for everybody. At the end of the year, the court side, well, on top of that, we're gonna give you 3% on top of that. They can do that, but you just have to be careful that you don't we're just gonna go with 3% across the board and make that for everybody. That's where you start seeing the inequities of it. Again, because we start to slide and we're not giving everybody the high performance that they ought to get. It's also a management tool if you got bad employees.
Not doing nothing. Plus, I have bad employees. I don't have any
Well,
bad
one that aren't doing
I
the
have
job.
some that are better than others. I have some that do their job that they were hired for. And then you'll always have that one that says, oh, what can I do for you? What, I'm done with my work, what can I, they're above and beyond overachiever. And I think that person should get paid more,
I think there needs to be
sell more than the other
merit.
person.
Or an
All
eval
about
process.
merit.
Yeah, and there needs to be an eval process.
That's right.
You've got
You
more
know, you
people
can
in
get
your
all
office.
the money, you can earn a whole quarter.
Yeah,
But you might get the quarter, but you might only get the 15 cents or whatever it is. But I want to be able to have that leeway in my own self to get what I want, according to merit.
Hang on, Judge, hang on a minute. Mr. Percy?
You're not obligated to give your employee a raise.
I
Based
know,
on
but like I
performance.
said, I gotta take it from me, and I just don't think that's fair.
Well, I agree with that fact, but going forward, if you do a 1 to 6%, if you've got somebody that's not performing, you give them a 0. And that's,
I wouldn't keep them, but
well, that's, they either perform or they don't. And their only incentive to keep on performing or to get better in the role is if the forum court addresses and says, we're giving them 3% across the board at the end of
oh,
the
they would
year.
all get that, of course, but I want to have the leeway in my own office, to, whatever the number is, to say that you have overachieved, but I mean, I don't want to say that, but you know,
Exceeding
I'm more than
standards.
expected.
Went above and beyond.
And I appreciate it.
Right, well, I'm not saying that can't be an issue, I'm just saying that you're not obligated
No, I'm not.
as an employer to give a raise.
Me too, on these, if we put a system in place, I think that's gonna increase the longevity of the employees that we're getting. We'll be top assets. Exactly, I think we'll start seeing more long-term county employees 5 years from now than we've got today.
I think that the courthouse itself does have long-term employees, because we're so much time and we have such a good small working place compared to you guys. I mean, we do, you know, we don't get paid as much as we have another job.
I think that the charts that Ms. Gina worked off of are great guidelines, and I totally agree with you, Mr. Dorsey. I think it should be up to each department head. When you do your, I think we need to first off get an evaluation or review process or schedule, or I don't know if we need to do that, or if y'all just do that on your own or what, but that's up to you to decide who gets a raise in your office and who doesn't. You don't pay people that aren't performing, aren't doing the work, and you need to reward those that are. It's not fair if Colton's sitting and doing nothing and Leslie's, busting her butt, and if they're both gonna get the same raise, like, totally,
I
that
agree,
makes.
but then it got taken from me, now I'm scared.
You're in better hands. You're in good hands.
I hope so.
We're a different form court.
I know, but you're not gonna be the only quote unquote forever.
Yeah, this is true. Judge Carney, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, I just wanted to make sure that, again, I may be remedial, that everybody on this front page is being treated the same, with the same schedule, because I thought I heard a comment that said, well, some department heads presented a different one, and so we computed them differently than this.
They were all based off the example that was given, if I was not given other information.
But what if you were given other information?
Then I
Then
used
after
that
she went off,
information.
like the sheriff's
So they're
department,
not all treated the same?
the sheriff's department submitted.
No, not the sheriff's department.
Right.
The
Everybody
clerk, the assessor, the collector, the treasurer, the comptroller, the OEM, the district and district court, prosecutor's office, library, and judge's office. Are they all treated the same?
The ones that were given different guidelines was your department and, Russo. I believe that, Jackie went off of the example for the police department and everything. Is
Yeah, but
that
I'm
correct?
saying, I'm clerical just like y'all are.
Right, but I mean, you went off that example.
We gave it starting and a top.
So, am I understanding the answer is no?
That's a Gina question, because I don't know.
I mean, because some people gave me a different pay range that I went off of.
I mean, I gave you a different pay range, but you used this on mine.
On that one, OEM
is,
As a proposed.
page.
No.
I think we all need to be on the same
I
page.
thought-
It says OEM right here.
Oh, yeah.
That's a mistake. OEM should not be
It should
in
be on the other
clerical.
page. They're not clerical.
Okay, so
And she
so
is-
OEM is not on this page.
No.
She is
It's
an
not figured
executive.
as clerical.
She's what? She is an executive, so she was given the $3 like the executive position says.
So is clerk, assessor, collector, treasurer, comptroller, district court, prosecutor's office, library, and judge's office all the same?
Those were all taken, yes, off of the example that was.
So new hire, $16, 1975, 15 years, and then with the.
Unless their pay was different, just like Karen's.
Exactly. It's not, right. They're not.
It's not.
Well, we're not gonna lower people's pay. Though. Yeah, don't lower mine.
I don't want to lower anybody's, but I do
So
want to
don't
know
lower
what,
yours.
but I don't want to say that we're doing this if we're not. That seems dishonest.
Exactly.
According to that, I'd be.
All these offices here need to be on the same pay scale.
Exactly.
Whether to get it up to that pay scale I mean, you can't take away, I don't wanna take anyone's pay away.
Yeah.
Basically, what they're saying is, if Jane Doe is making $18 an hour, she's only been here for 2 years, and Susie Q over here has been here for 10 years and is making the same as Jane Doe, how fair is that? But you
a big
can't-
issue.
You
That is a
can't
big
lower Jane Doe because, well, that's just not fair.
Well,
So what do you do with Susie Q over here, who's been over here for 8 to 10 years,
yeah.
making the same as somebody that's been
If
here
I'm,
10
if I'm in your position, I don't want this to get out and say, this is the pay grade, and then it's not.
That's where I was.
I mean,
That's where I'm
these
questioning.
don't match, I guess is what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Cause you have to
I don't
look
know that
at,
it makes me
you have to
any
look at the
difference, but
starting pay.
if I'm you guys, I don't want to be told that these match and they don't. That's,
Yeah, there are people here that haven't been here that long that make more or equal to people that have been here years.
Yes.
It's always been a problem.
there is the
That's gonna
problem.
be a problem in whatever company or
But
county.
you gotta
you're
start
in.
somewhere.
You gotta start somewhere.
Yeah, but it's
I
not
hate that.
fair to the people that's been here multiple years,
Actually,
that have more experience.
I just have a question for Susie or Cheyenne or whatever. Last year was 3% they did across the board.
Yeah, a COLA increase.
Previous years, what was it?
Nothing. They
That's
had,
what I thought.
yeah, employees hadn't gotten a raise in a very, like, or cap out or new top out, anything, cost of living in quite a few years.
4 years,
Some of
it was frozen when I was.
Some people got raises.
We
Not
went-
all.
If the department went through court and asked for it, sometimes yes, sometimes no, I mean, it's gone fought for like 6 months, you know? Across the board, no, this 3% COLA was it for what then?
Mr. Dorsey?
That was a really
Did
huge
you,
problem.
no, you have nothing about
Okay.
Is that what you wanted to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, reiterate that it was based off of this example, it's just not a new employee. We were starting off of existing employees, taking into consideration the year's worth, executive versus clerical. So it's not level still, but these people, somebody else said it, are not new. We're not gonna start them at a new rate. They're existing, so we have to take into consideration years and then executive. So it does follow the example, it's just nobody's gonna be starting out at $16 an hour, like the example. But, you know, the increases are based from the example.
And anybody that was making less than that was brought up to that. So they're all making more than what a new employee would be making.
But if you hire someone tomorrow, they'd be starting at $16 an hour.
That, according to the example, yes.
That's what I assumed from my
Yes.
office.
That's what I said.
Yes,
Okay.
definitely.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's why, because some people are gonna say, oh, it's not fair because this person that's been here for 10 years, but they started out at $9, whatever the amount is, they're getting a $4 or $5 increase, but you got this guy over here who's only been here for a year and they're only getting $1 or whatever the case may be. So then they're gonna say, well, it's not fair. You got $4 and I got $1. It's never gonna be fair.
Right.
The only way that you can make it fair, is if you look at this increase and everything and you tell the employees, the staff, that this is an inflation increase, and going forward, you do it by departments. Each department is gonna get 3%, and it's the department heads to decide what to do with 3% of their annual wages in that. And if they got somebody over here that does an excellent job, they might get 5%, but this one over here who is gone all the time and does this and that, they might only get 0.5%. It's up to that department head to be able
But
to
that's
spend
true,
that
that's
money.
100% true, if we start doing the same playing field, and here's the rules, and here's what you can get. When you're not starting on the same playing field, because someone who just started is making $20 an hour, and someone who in my office, who's been here 6 years, just now barely got to 15, you're not starting on the same playing field. If you're on the same field and everyone's eligible for this amount of money a raise, and your elected official says, okay, well, you're not getting all of it, but I'll give you this, that's different. If you're on the same field. But when you're not even in the same field, then that's totally different.
Can we,
Starting wage is $16 an hour, and there will be nobody making under $16 an hour at that point. And that's about the most
There's
even
not, my
playing
office
field.
is making under $16 an hour.
They wouldn't be after
With the
this.
proposal. No, not
is
after
it
that.
possible, Gina, to say
They
each
wouldn't be making
department
$20 an hour.
with this proposal, what it amounts to for that department money wise? Well,
Yeah, I can do it.
If that's the
It's a
case.
possibility of us saying
Take whatever they
that-
say.
this department, law enforcement gets 100,000. Based on what the raises would be with this, but it's up to the law enforcement to get it to where they want it.
For sure. I mean, I understand that.
Is that a possibility?
You can do whatever you want.
That's the way it should be.
Say that again?
That's the way it should be.
No, not that.
Say that again?
Gina's gonna figure out what each department, what the wage increase would be, that dollar amount. So if like,
Based off of this?
No,
Well, let's start
Not
at one.
this
We got
part.
something to start with.
this, he said something about, oh, never mind, I understand now.
I was gonna say your office has $20,000, but you could get to decide who's making that, not that whole, but like, this
Right,
person gets $1 or this person gets $2 or whatever, like.
okay. I mean, I am all for the raises, and I understand that it is not going to be fair. It's not going to be fair. And I understand that we've got to have a starting point.
But I think clerical should be fair, the same field. Law enforcement should be the same field. I think we should play in the same field. That's all I'm saying. We need to play in the same field.
Same field for,
I don't think that, yes, classification.
Yeah, classification.
I disagree with that. I disagree with that. I don't wanna have to figure people's taxes. I don't wanna have to figure people's child support. I don't want, no. I think I understand where you guys are coming from and I understand why you're upset. But, oh, man,
What's that
Gina,
have to do with child support?
You're never gonna.
well, just the $20 an hour comment and I know what you guys are talking about. I see what you're saying and the wage increase for someone new, but just clerical work is different from office to office and job to job. It's not the same across the board. And there are people that deserve to get paid more than others. That's just my opinion. I disagree with that. Oh, well, as Tanya was saying, different people, different pay rates, depending on what they do. That example is broken out versus, it's been mentioned many times, road department, quarry, transfer station, they're in their own bracket. The sheriff's office, they're in their own bracket. So it already is an example of people being in their own brackets.
They're in their own brackets, but each bracket doesn't play the same. That's all I'm saying.
Did you look at, have you guys had a chance to look at any of the job descriptions?
Even jobs are around there.
I have not gotten any job descriptions.
There was a couple of them. The only ones that gave me job descriptions with pay grades on them was Rochelle and,
We answer the phone, we do this, clerical, that's not.
I turned in.
Yep.
And it was emailed.
And it was emailed.
Did you ever get pay history information, start dates, rates, adjusted dates, or transfers, or in pay increases, or whatever?
I have a 2024 and I have a 2025.
And what, I think I'd mentioned before, back when, the new software company came and spoke, supposedly the, software is supposed to be able to give you, you plug in an employee and it'll give you a pay history, like when their rates changed. to me, what the argument is on the clerical, I think if you could see that information, it might clarify where some of the problems have been in the past. I think this setup levels the playing field much more than we've ever had. And an initial performance evaluation and review of those pay histories, like I said, might clarify a lot.
Accomplishing anything by giving each department head a lump sum of money, because that's what, I mean, what happens now, right? Versus doing,
No, we need to move forward with this and then going forward, if we're going to give them a flat fee or whatever, if that's, I mean, they can decide off of that how they wanna handle each their own department.
Well, there needs to be an eval process, because
100%.
Because like, say I'm the department head and I like Candace better than I like Karen, then I'm gonna be like, oh, hey, let's, me and Candace are buddies, so we're gonna get, Candace is gonna get a better raise. Like
But if
that.
you do
And
it
then
all
I can
the
see
year,
that would be like a top of that. No, you guys are saying we're in front of me.
And I mean, and
There
then you
needs to
need to
be a
decide,
performance
and you
evaluation.
need to decide, do we do
100%.
evaluations on our anniversary date? Or do we do evaluations
Quarterly.
once a year?
Yeah.
And that way, everybody gets the money at the exact same time, and each department head has got to do those
Yeah,
evaluations.
they need to be done one, we need to be done once a
Exactly.
year.
Budgeting versus what? So.
Yeah. Ours through my company,
We did
they
have
started in
proposed
January.
evaluation.
Very
Yeah, right, and I've done it both ways.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Suzie. It's in the minutes of, I can't remember if it was budget and finance or personnel or where it came up. But, Justice did bring in a proposed evaluation.
Where would I find that?
I can say review, whatever. And it just kind of disappeared.
Kathy used to turn in her
I've been trying to make up my.
I mean, I can give you evaluation forms and, I mean, because you're gonna have some that are gonna work for some department and some that are gonna work for others and everything. And decide which one is
And I wanted to
exactly.
have like an other on the bottom.
Oh, you bet, you bet, you bet. And I mean, and I would always recommend that employees turn into their department heads prior to it, a month prior, 2 months prior, their own evaluation on themselves. That way they know where they stand, they know what they've done and everything, and department heads can have that discussion with them and know where they actually need to.
Yeah, ours, my
Or what they've
company,
done great.
the process starts in January, and in January, every employee across the board gets what's called a self-eval. And they get to, ours is on a 5-point scale, from 1 to 5, and they have to rate themselves. Our stuff is usually, if you rate a 1 or a 2, you can kiss a merit increase goodbye, because you obviously ain't doing your job. Like, so you have to hit a 3 before you even get considered for it. And I tell, and three in our book means you are doing the job that you're hired for.
You're not going above and beyond.
So if you want a 4 or a 5, you better tell me why you think you're a 4 and 5, and you better have some numbers to back it up, like examples of what happened. Otherwise, you did your job, get a 3.
I agree with that.
Right, I mean, it can be based off of attendance, it can be based off of, are they getting in trouble for things? Are they, there's lots of different things that each department could be basing.
Yeah, and ours too, we have verbal and written warnings. If you have a written warning, you're not even eligible. Like, you'll get your eval, but that's it. Like, you're not eligible for a raise.
I've always held those types of things as far as a written warning or verbal or whatever the case may be. For, verbal, I held for 90 days. The others I would have held for 60. So if you got it in that time frame.
Yeah, ours
They
are
also
also
couldn't change jobs either. And you couldn't get you know, you couldn't go into a position.
Yeah, that's the way it is with our company. If there's a job, an internal job and you want to apply for it, the first thing they do is call the supervisor and make sure they're not on written warning, not on written warning.
That's all fine and dandy though, when you have a big corporation. When you have a small town government, small town county, when you have one employee or you have 3 people in your office, I mean, it doesn't work as good as it does.
I mean, I don't see how it's.
I mean, I work for a company, I love it, but you gotta work for yourself.
You got different departments.
I mean, I could go in and say, all your girls get 3%. And then you might come back and be like,
Yeah, no.
Jennifer ain't doing nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I love the evaluation.
But I mean,
Gina,
I-
can you put together a number
And I like
off
the self
based off of
evaluation, that's
this
really good.
for each department? So that we can then go back to the department heads and say, I mean, would possibly this work? To go just strictly let the department heads do a merit race?
I don't see where that's going to, I mean, because the biggest complaint that I'm hearing here from people is that it's not the same, it's not fair. And so if you've got somebody that's been here 15 years and you got somebody that's been here 2 years, you know, wages have increased out here in the world where you're trying to hire people and everything. It's not the same for when somebody started that many years ago and they haven't gotten up. With this, we're bringing people up to that and above that and everything. And just giving them a budget to work with and everything, I don't see where they're gonna be able to fix the problem. But that's just my opinion.
Well, 15 years in one job classification and 15, you need job grades. I mean, you could have as many as 20 grades of positions and fill them into each of those grades, not by department, not by assessor's office or collector's office or district court clerk's office. But you could fill all of those could cross categorize into those pay grades. And so 15 years in a category 3 job is gonna look a lot different than 15 years in a category 18 job. That, you know, that's not the same thing. So years of service, you've still gotta compare apples to apples. And it's 15 years in a higher skilled position is not the same as 15 years in a lower skilled position. I think is what a lot of people are saying, and that makes sense. You've gotta have that job classification.
To spin off the judge's comment, where I work at, that's how we're graded out. Everybody's graded on a pay scale, and say for pay scale 16 deputy clerk, you're gonna have your minimum yearly pay, you're gonna have your midpoint, and then you're gonna have your maximum. In your early years, what I'm gonna call your early years, through your development, from where you started out at, up to your midpoint, historically, your pay raises, as from a percentage, is gonna be increased a little more. It's gonna look a little more appealing, but when you get to that midpoint, it drops. It flatlines. Essentially, it's gonna flatline to whatever the projection is for the cost of living raise at the end of the year. And then if you're not happy with your pay there, you look for something else within, and it's a different situation with government, but that gives you the incentive to try to better yourself, to get to that next step. Just call
I
it.
think everyone is okay with the way that the scale is and the increases. I think I have an issue with is someone's been here for 5 years, making $15 an hour, someone brand new comes in making $18.50. That's the plain.
I mean, I understand that that's not gonna be fixed. That's something that just can't be fixed. We're just gonna have to deal with it. But Karen's department, Karen, who works right underneath county judge, her pay grade or her grade may be different than my grade. Or a girl in your office, your deputy clerk and my deputy clerk, might be on a different pay grade. And what he's saying is if you're not happy with the pay grade, then work your rear end off. And when that person leaves, you work to get that pay grade. You worked here for 10 years and Karen retired and decides to retire. And I've been in my position and I want to make more money, then I should hop over, try to apply for Karen's position. That's a better pay grade. And if you want that money and you want that pay grade, then you work for it. I mean, I think that's what it is. Because honestly, I made my job descriptions. My boss and I went over what we thought the starting pay and the top pay would be, all over what we thought my job was. It's not the same like everybody else's. Because I don't do it.
Each position will have their
Pay
own
line?
job description, their own pay rate.
My boss started me out at, well, she changed it to $19 an hour starting pay. To my top pay was $35. But in order to have my job, you have to have 5 years experience and a certification within the courts. And we take in all the payments and deposit all that money. I go in the jail and visit with inmates. I go in with the female ladies that are on probation and give urine tests for drug tests. I mean, there's a lot of things that I'm putting myself in harm's way that other clerks aren't putting themselves in harm's way, because that's just part of this job. And when you say that, you know, that's why I did my job description, I gave it to you. I thought that was part of the assignment. And mine doesn't do the same as Tanya's does.
If I can. Yes. Aside from the time that you put in to the county, at what point do you start looking at how much experience you're bringing into the county? Brand new, you're a new hire, but you've got 30 years experience doing that job already. How much of an asset are you as a new hire? I mean, I feel like that you're looking at hiring somebody at $16 an hour. They're not gonna wanna come work for you if that's what you're stuck at hiring them at, when they can go to Hobby Lobby and make $21 an hour. I mean, we've got, if you're a better asset, you've got to pay that person. I mean, and I mean, Gina is just, Gina's so good. She's so good. I don't have a problem with her. I mean, in our department, I'd be the lowest paid person, and I have no problem with that. I'm okay with that. I don't think the clerical thing is the same across the board. I don't. That's what I meant by that, Tony. I didn't mean like with your office.
No, you're fine, we just have to agree to disagree.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, that's what, I mean, it's never gonna be fixed.
Well, and I'm sure what Jackie does is way harder than what I do. I don't think, I would say she probably, do you think that the clerical thing across the board is the same, that?
I can say, I know how hard I work. I left a job that pays more than twice what I make to come do this because I believe in what Greg does. And it's not about the money to me. I feel like, I don't know what y'all start at, I really don't. But 16 sounds to me like it's better than what's been happening. And for sure, I feel like we're seeing a bump significantly for most people. And I just feel like that I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
But also I keep hearing like, I come visit inmates and y'all, we live this every day. We had deaths today. We've had 10 deaths in the last 6 days. Like, you guys just don't understand what I watch these guys do. And I am so passionate about seeing them rewarded for what they do for this community. So like all this stuff, like at the end of the day, we work hard and we push papers and we work on budgets and we do all the things and we can sweat and sweat and sweat, but we are not doing what these guys do.
Yeah.
So I can't grasp what y'all are even talking about because I know what these jailers do 12 hours a day.
And they're around it, they can't walk out and take a break if there's an incident in the yard. They have to stay there. They can't ask someone, you need to leave.
Yeah.
They have to deal with life.
I'm not talking about making more than a deputy. I'm talking about on a clerical level.
Yeah,
Yeah, but $19 an hour, like, we're not even close to that right now.
for a deputy, right?
Y'all, like.
I mean, I get it. I see what you're saying.
Average $17, $18 an hour for deputies right now.
I see what you're saying.
That's the point I'm trying to make too.
We push paperwork. We're the face of the county, you know?
I know this is hard, y'all. And we gotta start doing this great job. We wanna make a difference, we wanna make a change. This is a great start. We need someone to make a motion to move this on the budget. We'll need someone to do an ordinance.
It's not ready for that, is it?
I don't think it's ready.
Oh, it has to go to budget first,
I
then
don't,
budget.
I think the numbers need to be double checked, that it's on, everybody agrees that everybody's put in it, whatever y'all agree on.
And I think all the elected officials and the heads need to get one of these that everyone else is looking at as well.
I think we need to see our numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Justice Van Valkenburg, I'm sorry if I
What'd you say?
butchered that. I don't, that's a mouthful, sir, I'm so sorry. He had mentioned breaking apart department by department, so I think that will be, and then maybe have a grand total at the end, I think that would, explain it a little bit better. So I do think the spreadsheet needs a little bit of work prior to going to budget committee. Make sure that all the department heads are on board with what's submitted, and then it goes to budget, because it might get shot down in budget, and we're just.
Happy employees are good employees. If you want to try making everybody halfway.
So I
happy.
think though breaking it out by department and then having the department head review it and then meeting, I think that'll be good. Who needs to send that to the department head? The one who's making it. Gina?
Can you make sure that the library gets something that you can go
Then you
to
break it off and
the contract
move on.
staff.
Because they're good at doing that. Then that's what we're trying to get.
Because I just felt.
It's impossible to break this from, because like law enforcement's ready to go. We need to get this pushed through budget for law enforcement at least only, at the rate that they're going right now.
Right.
They're at half staff. They can't wait another 2 months.
I don't see
for this
why
to
you
work
couldn't.
part.
If that's
And
the
that's what everybody else
doing.
If you want to break it apart, I don't see why you do that.
We can do that. I'm
Yeah, I
sure
don't
that's
think so.
okay. Mr. Dorsey.
Just an observation, just me personally, if I was sitting on this board, I would take a long, hard look at the conversation that's been had tonight, because I'm not on the committee. I'd take a long, hard look, think about what all of our peers, their thoughts, their concerns, everything. Me personally, I would have another meeting, try to readdress it, because I believe y'all have one on the 17th. Isn't there another one coming up?
We have one next week Thursday.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I'm not gonna be able to be there, and all I'm trying to say is, I'm afraid that we as JPs will have a struggle trying to get it approved as proposed, based off of many inconsistencies. I feel like we're looking at some HR concerns going forward with how we're trying to immediately just push everybody up to one flat level. Because you're not addressing it by a percentage, you're addressing it. I understand you got to level your playing field, but I from the outside looking in, I feel like that playing field is being overly inflated like 300%. And that's just a number that I pulled out of my head.
Also, if you start with us and we are at a meager spot that we feel like we're trying not to tax the county too much, and then clerical comes in behind us and they're at $30 an hour and our deputies are at 20, that's not gonna work for us.
Right.
So I don't really wanna just put us out there and then it gets super inflamed past us.
I think Gina needs to, like, it needs to be broken down by department. Because you said you could do that correctly. And then I think each department head needs to look at it and see if these are doable numbers, if they think it's fair for their employees, and then bring it back to us. Because if we start in one department, and it's just like Jackie said, if we start with them and then, you know, Susie's office is now making twice what a deputy makes, or even $3 more than what a deputy makes. If I was a deputy, I'd have an issue with that. Like, I'm putting my life on the line, and the ladies sitting in the office are making more money than me.
It's not escape them, y'all. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
You leave and you're leaving the body and you're thinking, is this worth $16.50 an hour? Or get shot at, that's happened since I've been here, is that worth $16.50 an hour? So I'm just saying, this office is more important than this office, and this one should make more than this, like, I don't feel like I work any differently than y'all do, and I don't feel like I deserve more than y'all do. And I've got 40 years of experience. So I don't feel like
Isn't the police department on a different thing now?
it's barely, but these numbers I'm hearing are ending up more than one.
Jackie,
Yes,
the ad I sent you guys from Baxter County,
correct, yes.
okay, talking with law enforcement, it's almost a training ground in Marion County to go some other place and make more money. Just for your department, does this proposal put you close to at least? Not even close.
We're just trying to get them a raise to survive until we can get another one, hopefully in the fall, you know, when they own the new budget.
We would still be behind $3, $4 an
Yeah.
hour, behind flipping.
Behind
shoulders
flipping the
and
bull
back.
show.
So we have not, I don't feel like we tried to push this too hard.
Actually, it's for Greg and Jackie. So I know a lot of, he mentioned it, there's the stepping ground, you know, you train up, they leave out. Some of our deputies have even left to go to flipping, which is still within our county.
Okay,
So is it close to at least the flipping rate?
No.
The person in my job left my job, went to flipping and started 22. I started 16, which was the max.
And the deputies are going over there for a $3 and $4 an hour, right?
For
Yeah.
5, yeah.
After you train them up.
We train them up.
Yeah.
Can you hire anybody from Cotter?
And just so, I had advertised,
I'll pay 19.
Connor plays 19. But, we lost a 5-year deputy today. He turned in his resignation. He's going to Baxter County for $23 an hour. And, you know, we just can't compete with that right now.
We lost 5 this.
Oh, plus they're paying his insurance and he gets, 3 weeks of vacation. Well, it's hard to compete, but we've got to have a little bit of a, and I know I'm throwing we in here, I'm worried about the jail and the deputies is who I'm worried about. You know, they need to be able to survive on and get along with the other dogs instead of having to worry about moving to Baxter County or to move. You're exactly right. You're exactly right. Well, I mean,
You guys always train them. They work here for a couple of months, and then they go over there, like, what are 20 years?
I don't think.
I mean, even dispatch, we put it at the clerical level. We don't do what they do, but they're at a clerical level. Okay.
You guys are always gonna
You might not get your 25 cents.
Okay, I'm tired.
Okay, so we have, our next personnel meeting is next week, Thursday. There's budget on Tuesday. We have our regular scheduled personnel meetings on Thursday next week. This was just to go over this. Tina, does that give you enough time?
You need it by Thursday or Tuesday?
Thursday.
Thursday?
Do you have that broken?
And, well, I need to have it before Thursday, because your meeting is on
Our
Thursday,
meeting,
correct?
Thursday, yeah.
So if I get it to you guys and get it to all the department heads by Tuesday, that gives everybody enough time to look at it before Thursday. I will make sure it's done. Everybody does, but this is very important, so. And I mean, and I would love nothing more than for everybody to be happy. And I like it when I get some guidance of what I need to do.
Okay, so Gina's gonna be emailing it all out, by department, broken down on Tuesday, what she has. If you have any adjustments, changes,
Could that possibly include what she shows the increase would be from current budget to what for each department? Because I know what our numbers are.
okay. She just needs some direction on what y'all are looking for, what you wanna see.
Percentage of increase by position.
Percentage increase by position.
Per employee, a percentage per employee, or overall department?
By employee, so if we've got one, we're paying 18, and we've got one that we're getting ready to move and pay $23 an hour, I would like to know what that percentage is based upon that employee.
And longevity, or we're just throwing a number out there because.
Which department was that that was saying
It's
that?
the pay scale still, isn't it?
Is it from start date? At what their pay is, like you have it there, or just because we think they should be making more?
We're still going by the pay scale, I think she's asking, is it?
Are we still going by the pay scale that?
Into what it was.
No, well, that you guys now we're starting at.
That wouldn't change if it's the same pay scale.
Because some put their own figures in there.
I think there was only one department that put their own figures in there.
It was Russo, Judge Carney.
So
No,
going by
the
start
proposed
date,
rate
and
that you
correct, like
used was your
what you
rate.
have.
The proposed rate was your rate.
That rate was what you and I was discussing.
If you go to mine, and I'm Judge Carney, then the numbers that you have for these two positions are exactly what they should be according to this.
Okay. And.
I mean, am I wrong? Because if I am, that's
At what
what,
my pay is now versus what the pay scale is.
is that not right?
I don't know,
Well, then why did you say that?
because Tina and I sat down there and discussed it when she gave me the job descriptions and said that she thought that that was too high. And so we looked at the stuff and everything. And
So you
that's
did
what
not,
we put-
so hang on, so you didn't use my proposals, you used these. Now, I just need to know what the answer to the question is, because you just said that every department was doing this, hang on, I'm talking. That every department used these except for Russo's office and district court office, and they were treated differently. Now, I don't know what Russo's office did, but when, I didn't know exactly what we had done. Honestly, that's why I asked questions. But when I look at this, and I compute it by my girl's number of years, and off of this, then they match exactly.
Okay.
So
And it
why,
was because
so what is different?
it was because Tina told
No,
me
no, no,
that.
no, no.
Okay.
What is different between this, what your grade is, and what we're paying?
I don't think you're letting her explain. You're cutting her off.
I don't matter, I'm done.
Well, I just need to know because my goal is for everybody, if we're gonna be on this, I want to be in it. So am I or am I not? That's my question.
Don't know.
Well, isn't that your job? Didn't you prepare this? Do you all know?
The idea is to go with that pay scale, yes.
Right.
That is a proposed pay scale that we are trying to get from each department.
And I think that's where my department has been plugged in is off of this, but there's been a comment made that we weren't, that we were different.
I mean, I don't know that.
I don't either,
The job description that you gave
right?
has a pay scale in it.
Right.
And that's what Tina and I looked at, and it was the same as that.
When I asked you,
Well, they haven't even seen these.
you said you were going to propose this.
Oh, they said they didn't have them.
Oh, listen.
Have y'all seen the?
I have not seen it.
They've got new emails.
You said that it was against this, which is fine. That is what you said. She's like, you said that it was close enough, and I said, sure, use that.
So is Russo's, I guess my next question is Russo's office also using this, or are they using something different?
I don't remember, and I don't have it in front of me anymore. I have it on mine now.
The numbers are based on that unless she got something different.
Right, but if each department manager and their own go off and use this for the years and qualifications, whatever else, and say feel like it's worth $8.
Well, that's what they should have done when they all received this.
Needless to say, this isn't gonna be solved in the next week or two.
But that's gonna be better. That department head wants to
Yes.
take this.
Yeah. So we need to take prosecutor off of this first pay because it's not following this schedule, right? That's your proposal.
So the idea behind this is if you don't feel that it's worth $16 for a new hire, you as the department head or whoever your department head is, change that number to whatever you feel to fit this scale and then turn it in to her. She'll give it to us.
So we're not doing this.
We are doing this, but if you feel like you need to do a new hire or something, if you don't want to do $16 an hour and then say the next year you want to do $18 an hour or whatever, you can do that.
Okay, we thought this was fine.
So
So I just did a different job description and different pay than I.
Okay,
Well, we did, but apparently it wasn't accepted, and we're okay with that if everybody else is doing this, but now I hear the prosecutor's office is not doing this. And I thought we were all doing this, I thought it was a proposal and then we were all gonna land on the same thing. But now it's my understanding is that we're not all doing the same thing. I thought you all were gonna decide what that same thing was. Here's my proposal. You can say no.
My understanding was this was like, these were the proposals, but if you don't like them or don't agree with them, then you make changes on them and submit them. If you don't submit anything and you're okay with that, then that's what we were going off of.
It's not what I submitted.
We don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
But I actually am okay with it. I just don't want it proposed as this is what the pay grade is. If you can present something else. But maybe that's not what the proposal is.
We don't know what you're saying, I guess.
I think where that came in is this is an example. And if you as the department head do not agree with that, you need to plug in your numbers for your department as to what you think is fair.
Okay, so
Just like-
we're not all gonna be on the
So that
same.
makes a difference then, that will
Yeah, so this doesn't have anything to do with anything.
It was an example.
Gotcha.
So we can all do our own. then.
I thought the directions were to go by this pay scale and see what it would cost the county.
Exactly.
That's what we all understood. I do think,
Doesn't
I mean,
matter,
I
we all
started
know it's
18
different,
years.
we can go back in there and put our own numbers in there. Because that's gonna change every single person's.
We're back to being arbitrary.
And I thought that's what this was based on, that was presented tonight, was based on this. But that's not true. It may have been based on this, or it may have been based on whatever numbers you presented, other people presented.
So maybe,
So what
And that's
you,
okay. I'm
so
not
what
saying
you want?
I'm
You
not saying
want
it's
all
wrong.
departments
Which
to
one?
go through and just base it off of this? The $16 an hour.
I think most did.
Almost all of them.
We did.
Yeah, only two, your office was, Brewster's office was the only one that submitted them that was changed.
Yes.
Otherwise, everybody else was on that.
It was just, so are we on an understanding that it's being broken out by department? It's gonna be sent out to the department heads. If they have issues with it, then they can resubmit something and then we'll rejoin next week to review said changes.
And I would bet everybody would resubmit, right?
If you change it, that's what I.
We gotta have a starting point, a baseline. So let's go up the baseline of this for right now.
Which is
I think
exactly
that's
where
mine
mine
is.
making the spreadsheet, so.
So the only one that would
And
change,
not having any information. I'm sorry.
the only one that would change though would be Mr. Russo's office.
I think that's the only one that needs to be
Change,
changed.
because everybody else abided by that
Yes.
set schedule.
What we proposed was yes.
Okay.
And then on my
And then-
job description, I can just change my pays, which is fine.
And I think everybody needs an updated job description almost every year anyways, and I guarantee you, some of these job descriptions haven't been changed in 5 years. Or more. Yeah, or is there even one? Because, we have a job description book, and I guarantee you half the departments are blank. So HR really needs job descriptions. She's human resources, so I think job descriptions need to be submitted along with the pay proposals.
Susie, when we talk about Russo's being different, are we just talking about the extra paralegal that he just got? Or are you talking about the victim witness coordinator also?
I have no idea, that's,
That's the pay scale he went off of.
And he did job descriptions and put them in a different
Category.
grade.
He went
He
through,
only mentioned the GSD.
yeah, he went through the
Okay.
like,
Grades,
all
grades 1 through 5 was all exactly the same. And then after
He
that.
took the class 2 counties, all the class 2 counties, and went from the highest to the lowest and averaged them out. That's how it came up with this. That's what he told me.
And then sheriff says class 2 counties can file false information for agenda reasons.
That's proven.
Proven.
I will say yes, because I've gone through this and done the same thing. And the number that Marion County has listed is not what is being paid. So we're guilty as a county of doing the same thing. I don't know where the numbers come from that get submitted, but they can submit whatever they want.
Justice Lee, there's several counties across the state that are fraudulent as well.
Good to know. All right. Gina's gonna get this all emailed out to Tuesday. Well, actually, no one's gonna change, so Russo's office is gonna be the one that's gonna change.
I think we still need to see them ourselves.
Yes,
And
if you
make
can
sure our
just email
numbers
them.
and our dates are correct.
Thank you. Perfect. Anything else?
We will reach for some hours.
Do I have a
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Here, guys, what are you doing?
I know this is long. We appreciate everything that you all do.
Rita, pleasure.